So the four living creatures, how do we explain those four living creatures? There are five kinds of explanation. First, it is interpreted as virtues, faculties, and power of human soul, or the great apostles, or principal angels, whatever it is. So the virtues, the qualities, the moral values, the spiritual values, so which human beings consider as virtues. So these four creatures represent all those noble characteristics, all highly attainable human capacities or characteristics, are all those virtues in perfect form. So that is what one kind of interpretation is. So what is the second kind of interpretation? The second kind of interpretation is the tribes of Israel. If you read Numbers 2, 3 to 10 to 18 to 25. So the tabernacle became the center of the camp of Israel. So when the Israel traveled in wilderness, so made these camps. So even Balaam, looking at that in Numbers 23 and 24, he says, how beautiful are the heads of Israel. I want to die the death of these Israel righteous people. So that was the beauty, or that was the pattern. So what is the pattern? So north, south, east, and west. So the tribes were camped. So when they move, so the north will move first, then the other will follow it. So the camps were established in such a way. In the north, there were three tribes. The south, there were three tribes. East, three, and the west, three. So the tabernacle, or the presence of God, the Ark of Covenant, was in the center. So all these four camps, north, south, east, and west, so they had banners. So the Judah was the leader of one camp. So the banner was a lion. Ephraim was another, whose was ox. Reuben was had a banner like that of a man. Dan had a banner that was like an eagle. So these are symbolizes the whole people of covenant, the whole nation of Israel. So those who have the covenant as the center of life, and all their life is related to that covenant. So in that means they are covenant people, the chosen people. God, Lord calls them as treasured possession. So these creatures represent the people of God who had made covenant with God, whose life operates with God as the center. So this is what we see in the tabernacle. The third could be the gospels. So what are the four creatures? The four creatures could represent gospels. So the Bible scholars think these four gospels, like Matthew is the lion's gospel. So where the Lord is portrayed as king. As we know, Matthew was written mainly to the Jewish audience. So Matthew was trying to help understand the Jewish people. He is the son of David, the Messiah king, who was who was expected by the whole nation of Israel. So the lion, the king. So the second, it is Mark's gospel is known as the Mark's gospel. So in Mark, the gospel is presented in such a way that Jesus Christ is the servant. So in Matthew, you can see there is a genealogy that says he had a great, is descending from a great king. So in Mark, there is no genealogy. It begins with baptism. So he is a servant. He came to serve the people, so It was action-packed gospel. It moves from one event to another event. So it uses the word immediately, fight off. So that means the change of event, one event to next event, next event. So that portrays Lord Jesus Christ came as a servant to serve. So the third, the Luke is considered as the man's gospel. So where Lord Jesus Christ has portrayed as second Adam. So if you look at the genealogy, Luke chapter 3, the genealogy begins with Adam. So he says, son of Adam. So the second Adam. So he is considered as man. The humanity is expressed. So Lord Jesus Christ was 100% human, 100% divine. He was a unique personality. There will be none like him. 100% human, 100% divine. So the human thing is expressed by Luke, that he was tired, was sleeping, he felt hungry. So he was human and his sweat became blood. All those details Dr. Luke brings up so that we understand Lord Jesus Christ was a human. Then John as an eagle that affirms the deity of Lord Jesus Christ. So that is, he begins with the beginning. He begins as God, as the Word, and the Word was God. So he brings in that I am state. So self-existing God. Nobody created him. He exists from the beginning. So he's a self-existing God. So that is what we see in John's Gospel. So the four creatures represent the four Gospels that has been given to us for the new covenant people. And this gospel has to be preached to the whole world. So this gospel is given or preached, shared among all people, all culture, all nation, which will be reflected in the Revelation and other chapters. So the four creatures are the four gospels, which will be preached to all humanity. So then other scholars think it is all animate creation. So the four faces represent all of animate creation in its utmost excellence. So the lion is the king of wild animals. So here the heaven not really talks about just the human beings of the world. So some scholars feel it is not just the whole creation. So including the nature. So some scholars says it is not only the human kingdom, there is animal kingdom, there is birds kingdom. So there is other kingdoms. So that also should be represented in heaven. So this is all representation of all animate creation. So the lion is the king of all wild animals. So lion is represented. Then ox is best of domesticated animals. So there are many domesticated animals. Domesticated animals means that can be used or used for human service, that we have it in our homes. So then eagle is king of all birds. So it's about looking at everything. So the eagle is the king of all birds. So it represents all birds. Man is crown of all creation. So man is always considered as the crown of all creation. He is the king or the crown prince. So who has dominion over all creation. So man is considered as the crown of all creation. So these four creatures could represent the four faces or the four representation of animate creation. So then we see in other perspective. So that they say that for intelligence it is man. For when you talk about intelligence perspective, the best and the supreme is man. So what is the most intelligent bird? It could be considered as eagle. What about the most intelligent cattle? It could be ox. The most intelligent of wild animals, it could be lion. So some scholars think it is about the intelligence. Again, the intelligence is very important. So all these creatures are under the authority and the throne of glory, as Ezekiel saw. Here also we see they were all under the authority of the throne of God or Father in heaven. So heaven has several components. So we were looking at the throne of God. So we saw the 24 lesser thrones with 24 elders. Then there were four creatures. Then there is a crystal sea. So how it was arrayed, how it was planned, that John does not describe. But we assume or we understand throne of God is the center of all things. So the covenant keeping, righteous, truthful God.